Okay, I just wanted to take a minute here to summarize our intermediate algebra course here at OTC. We began with factoring, and factoring was useful for a couple things. The first thing was to help us solve a particular type of equation, namely it was helpful for solving quadratic equations. Now, before intermediate algebra, you already knew how to solve what are called linear equations. Okay? Then factoring enabled us to solve some quadratic equations. Maybe I should say that. We can't solve all quadratic equations with factoring, but we can solve some. Factoring was also useful to help us with rational expressions. Because remember, rational expressions are fractions, and factoring turns things into multiplication, and rational expressions are fractions which are division, and multiplication and division work well together. They allow each other to cancel out. So factoring was very useful there. We also looked at rational equations. And so at this point, we've solved linear equations, quadratic equations, rational equations. Okay? And finally, we looked at radical expressions, which was another new topic, basically. So we had linear equations, quadratic equations was kind of a new topic, rationals were a new topic, and then radicals were a new topic. For that reason, this course is somewhat difficult. We learn a lot of independent topics, okay? However, oh yes, we learned radical expressions and radical equations. So, we can solve linear equations, quadratic equations, rational equations, and radical equations now. And so all of these sort of independent topics are helpful so that we can move on to sort of the culminating idea in our intermediate algebra course, which is functions. Okay, so all of these things will be used as we study functions. And I'm talking like basic functions here, the basic ideas of functions. Alright, so that's very important as you move forward in your math career. Almost everything you study will be based on functions, so that's a very important topic. Okay, finally we will finish the course with quadratic stuff. So what I mean by that is, you saw that we learned how to solve some quadratic equations before. Well, we'll finish that off here by learning how to solve all the other quadratic equations. And we will also look at quadratic functions. Okay, so quadratic equations, by stuff I mean quadratic equations and quadratic functions. Okay? So we'll take what we learned about basic functions and apply those to quadratic functions and analyze some properties that are specific to quadratic functions. And all of this is in hopes to prepare you for a college algebra course where typically the first topic you'll cover is functions, and almost everything you'll do will be based on functions. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope it helps you see the big picture here and where we're going and what we've done. But that's what our intermediate algebra course looks like, and hopefully you can see how it all works together now.